Okay, Deputy Sullivan.
Listening to what you were saying today and reading the reports and the information that we've been getting recently on Syria, and particularly the UN Human Rights Council report of May, June, July, and it was outlining the appalling human rights abuses on both sides at this stage, both pro-government and anti-government. And you can't help but ask the first question on the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of the UN. And even though we all would agree with you on the political solution, unfortunately the main players are pushing for a military solution. So the question is, well, who is going to get them to talk and get all of them to come to that table? And one question I have is on the role of Iran, because I think they could play a very significant role there. And I'm just wondering, because the other issues surrounding Iran is, are they being taken serious enough, and particularly with the new regime in Iran? On the humanitarian one, and I acknowledge what Ireland have been doing and always have been doing, but I'm just wondering, is there a role for European countries to relieve the burden somewhat on the surrounding countries by taking in refugees, and if there's any plan for that? And pressure to go on those countries who are not contributing as well as they should, or honouring the promises that they had made. And there was one group who had met some of us here, and I did put them in touch with Irish Aid about the idea of funding for what was called a Jasmine tent, which would be a safe place for women, and particularly in light of the increasing number of rapes of women. And I know there were talks going on for counselling, and perhaps Irish NGOs here could facilitate that. One other question is on chemical weapons, and is there a move also with the other 4 countries who have chemical weapons, and is that part of the process as well? And finally, the Irish troops. Where do we stand with that? How safe are our troops in Lebanon? And I just like your comment on that. And I do think that when this war ever ends, there'd be need for an even bigger commitment to pick up the pieces from the war in repairing infrastructure and the mental, the physical, the emotional problems that people will have. Thank you.
Okay, Tánaiste.
Okay, well, first of all, I agree with Deputy O'Sullivan that I think Iran has an important role to play in this, and I think that Iran should be part of the Geneva II process. I spoke by telephone with the new foreign minister of Iran recently and exchanged with him our views on the situation and the role that Iran might play, and our view of that. So I think Iran does have a role to play. The issue of chemical weapons, as I mentioned in my opening contribution, use of chemical weapons is banned since 1925. That applies consistently right across. I mean, our view is it's a war crime. I think that we have to work towards their complete elimination. It's not just a case of their use, but it is also the making of them, the stockpiling of them, and the maintenance of them. We need to have a world which is free of weapons of that kind. On the issue of the Irish troops, as you know, the government has decided to deploy troops, 114 Irish members of the Irish Defence Forces, to the UNDOF mission on the Golan Heights. Currently, 4 officers are already out there. The first detachment, the initial detachment, will go out this coming Friday, and the balance in about a week later. Obviously, the circumstances in which they operate and their safety and the safety of their operating environment is a matter of greatest importance to us, and it was an issue that we had extensive discussions with the United Nations about when the request came from the UN to participate in the UNDOF mission. I spoke directly with Secretary General Ban about both about the request and in particular about the measures that needed to be taken to ensure their safety. And that's an issue, obviously, that we will continue to have continuing discussions about. I expect to meet with Secretary General Ban again during the United Nations General Assembly week, and to have a further discussion with him about it. I am aware that there have been some reports regarding, some media reports regarding the evacuation of civilian staff and family members of the UNIFIL personnel in Lebanon. The current information we have from the UN is that no decision has been made in relation to the evacuation of UNIFIL personnel or their family members. As it happens, there aren't any family members in any event accompanying Irish personnel at present in Lebanon. The UNIFIL continues to implement all mandated tasks and, in line with the requirements of all UN missions, constantly reviews and updates its contingency plans. The Jasmine Tent civil society initiative to provide psychosocial support for victims of violence. It involves people from the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre. It's very important work, and officials of my department are facilitating links with some of our implementing partners in the field.
Okay, thanks, Tánaiste.